Have you ever stopped to think about why, when you need something, one specific brand just pops into your head? It's not magic, and it's definitely not a coincidence. There's a hidden superpower at play, a force that quietly shapes our choices. We're going to pull back the curtain and see exactly what makes these companies so dominant. In fact, let's see this in action right now. How about a quick game? I'll name a product, and you just notice the very first brand that comes to your mind. Don't overthink it. Ready?
Okay, first one. Electric car in India. What's the name?
I'm willing to bet the name that just flashed in your mind was Tata. Am I right? Okay, let's try another one. Cigarettes. What's the first brand you think of?
And boom, there it is again. For most of us, the answer is instantly ITC. So, what on earth is going on here?
Seriously, why those names? Out of all the companies out there, why did Tata and ITC surface so fast? Well, it's because these companies are what we call market leaders. So what is a market leader? It's basically a company that gets so big, so visible, and expands so fast that it becomes our automatic, go-to, default choice. They've essentially set up camp in our brains and become the top answer. And look, this isn't just a hunch, the numbers are wild. These dominant players typically control a massive slice of the pie. We're talking anywhere from 50 to a jaw-dropping 80% of their entire market. That's way more than just a lead. That's a fortress. Okay, so how does having a huge market share actually become a superpower? Well, it all rests on two incredibly powerful pillars that make it almost impossible for anyone else to compete. The first is the power to win any price war hands down, and the second is a massive advantage called economies of scale. Let's break down what those two things actually mean. All right, price wars. Because these leaders are so big and have so much money, they can afford to drop their prices to a level where smaller competitors just can't survive. A new company tries to undercut them, the big guy can just lower their price even more and wait until the little guy runs out of cash. It's a brutal but super effective strategy.
Now, economies of scale. And trust me, this is simpler than it sounds. Imagine your factory rent is 100 rupees. If you only make 10 products, you have to add 10 rupees to the cost of each one just to cover rent. But if you're a market leader making 100 products, that same rent only adds 1 rupee to each. By making stuff in huge volumes, your cost for each item plummets. It gives you a price advantage that's almost impossible to beat. We've seen the how, so now let's talk about the who. Let's take a quick tour of some of India's biggest market leaders and see just how much of their territory they actually control. I mean, just look at this. The dominance is everywhere. IndiGo has a staggering 64% of the entire airline market. Asian Paints, a 60% hold on the paint industry. United Spirits and United Breweries command over half of their respective markets. Even in a crowded space like cement, Ultratech has almost a third of it. And there's Tata Motors, holding 40% of the passenger EV space. But while all those numbers are huge, ITC is on another level entirely. It controls an unbelievable 84% of the cigarette market. 84%! That's not just leadership, you guys. That's practically a monopoly. So this brings us to the final, and maybe the most important idea. We usually think about business as a race, right? About being the fastest or the most innovative. But the success of these companies, it teaches us a totally different lesson. It turns out the winner isn't the one who runs the fastest. It's the one who occupies the most space. And that's not just space on the shelves, but space in our minds. They don't just compete in the market, they pretty much become the market. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Think about your own life. When you buy snacks or soap or book a flight, what's your default brand? The one you choose without even thinking. Now you know why.